I love the caffeine version of the opening, dude. What I never get tired of it. Congratulations. That is still the most energetic Saturday morning way to get started. John, Lauren, how are you guys doing? Episode 348, Hobby Hotline. What's going on?
Morning. Yeah, that's the football coach in me, I think, that kind of went with that sort of theme, if you will. So, you want to run through a wall. I can't run through any more walls anymore because things break on me at my age, but maybe the younger version of me might have.
What's up, Mad City? Real quick, John, I know you want to make an announcement, but I think this is worthy of talking about. It is Larry Doby Day. If you are not familiar with Larry Doby, please pause this, stop, and come back and watch later. It's okay. Our feelings won't be hurt. Larry Doby Day is the day that Larry Doby integrated the American League. It was just weeks after Jackie Robinson. It's an incredible story and definitely something that's worth recognizing. And today is the anniversary. So definitely want to throw that out there. What's up?
Yeah, definitely does. He doesn't get enough credit. Obviously everyone knows I'm a Jackie guy, but like you said, it was only a mere couple weeks after Jackie's debut. So I've heard him called the American League Jackie Robinson. He's Larry Doby, and he's right there with Jackie Robinson.
I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off, but I am. Yeah. He was an all-star. He was a great player in his own right, if you're not familiar. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Jackie was probably a little more vocal with social issues. That doesn't mean Larry Doby didn't care, obviously. Jackie sort of became the centerpiece or the mouthpiece for society and rights and for African Americans and that sort of thing. Where Larry, you could argue Larry Doby was a better player in terms of with his career and numbers. Obviously, Jackie only played 9 years in total due to some injuries and illnesses. So, but both obviously very important to the game of baseball, and both need to be celebrated similarly.
Aren't I the most fun person to be on with, Lauren? We go over the whole show, and my first topic is off schedule.
No, it's perfect. I didn't know about Larry Doby, so you were like, "Let's come back." I was like, "Well, I can't do that. I gotta just nod my head and go along with it. Read it later because I don't know much about him. So I enjoy hearing you guys talk about him."
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Stokes, Jackie had a year in the minors to get used to the MLB. Doby came right from the Negro Leagues. That's an excellent point. Stokes, love the comments. Don't stop on Larry. John, I want to get to you. A lot of people that watch this are fans of Hobby Palooza, and you have some information on this year.
Yeah, first off, I know I've said this when I've been on, just with the summer and getting ready for National. We're on normally the first and third Saturday. I'm not supposed to be here today, but I'm jumping in for Samuel. So I'm pinch hitting. I'm the Manny Moda, apparently, of the show.
Terry Crowley, if you're from Baltimore.
There you go. So we're on the first and third Saturday of every month. One programming note, August, because of the National, will be the second and fourth. So we'll still same spacing, but instead of first and third, second and fourth. But the next iteration of the show after today's show will be the third Saturday, and will be on Hobby Palooza, which is on the For Collectors network. We'll be in our normal time slot, though, so 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific. But just so everyone knows, we won't be that day only. We won't be on Bench Clear or Hobby Hotline. You'll have to go to the For Collectors Network as part of their Hobby Palooza 3 days of streaming hobby content. Be overload, but some great people on. And for that show, there's three of us here. For that show, you'll see more than three of us. That's kind of an all hands on deck type of show, and probably heavy national talk as we would be like a week away from the national.
I am out of town and missing it, so don't include me.
I'll talk.
I'll be watching. It'll be like 5 a.m. in Alaska, so I'll get up and watch.
Alaska? What do you do?
I'm not leaving my room. I'm going to be on the internet the whole time. I have ice cubes. I don't need to see a glacier. Okay. Big conversation this week is the WNBA rookie royalty product. There is so much to talk about with this. I'm going to start with the Dutch auction. A lot of people may be familiar that a lot of products now come out via Dutch auction. A Dutch auction starts at a higher price and it drops slowly until people buy the product or somebody buys the product. Now, if it continues to drop, you ultimately do get it at the lowest price. So if you bid at a higher price, you do get it at the lowest price. The rookie royalty product started at $30,000. It finished at $3,000. So everybody who got it at $3,000. And then from what I saw, the secondary market was just about $8,000 pretty quickly. I don't know if you guys saw the same thing. Mookie, I absolutely made the same joke before the show, so I'm not going to pretend. Yes, 3 days of streaming is Hanukkah light. It's 8 crazy nights.
I'll see if they'll change the name to that. Probably not, but I'll effort that.
Trust me. So MSRP is gone because of breakers. It's a sad world. No, this is how the companies are trying to do it. So I wouldn't blame just the breakers on this. This is also the distributors. This is the big retail shops. And, Phil, breakers are part of the distribution network, but this is for all distribution. So when you start at $30,000 a box, I don't know how you can do that with a straight face. Lauren, welcome. How are you?
Good. Happy to jump in on this topic. Yeah. So I mean, like Danny said, it started at 30,000, dropped down to it was 3,000. Right? I thought it was between 4 and 3, so I wasn't sure. So 3,000. That's crazy. It's I believe 2 cards per box, and it's a big gamble. And I think the only autos are Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark.
Correct.
So like the only way to really kind of win your money back is to hit Clark. So I don't love that they kind of set that up for Angel Reese to fail because her cards sell for significantly
less. That's a great point.
Yeah, I was a little
point.
Disappointed with that. I think that was a little irresponsible of Panini, but I know business is business. So that was a little frustrating for me. And then we checked last night. Brian and I checked last night on eBay to see because some of the cards that were coming out were not player event, game whatever related. And but Flawless historically is. So we were like, okay, well maybe Flawless will, be the one. That'll be like, top tier. That's what everybody's kind of been asking about for a while. Everybody who wants an elite Caitlin Clark probably wants a Flawless. And we checked last night, and I think the one that we did find, it's not affiliated with anything. Like it's straight out of the, Dick's Sporting Goods section. So that's also a little disappointing. I
say that's more than a little disappointing.
Yeah.
That just sucks. I mean, somebody had to make that decision and you made the wrong decision. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I think, it's obviously, I think that with this, especially starting with the Dutch auction at like 30 grand, I think that, it's safe to say Panini said, let's cash in. Because it's a mishmash, it's kind of like an expensive version of like hoops or contenders, not hoops, but more so, like where you just kind of get like a little of this, a little of that, but it's, The big thing, which I led off with, and of course I'll let you guys talk about it too, because I want to know what you think, was just kind of setting up the rest of the league, but especially Angel Reese, to be dogged on, because breakers are going to be opening, and everybody in the comments, if you pull an Angel Reese auto instead of a Caitlin Clark, you just know it's going to be brutal. And does that impact her directly in that moment? No, but we've seen the narrative and we've seen the greater experience of, WNBA games right now, and also the players just out in the wild living their life. And yeah, I don't want to be a hater, but I'm overall kind of disappointed with the product. But I'd love to hear what you guys think. So
I just want to read this comment because I think this is part of the problem for all the people that are wondering about Paige Becker's a 2024 product in July of 2025 by a calendar. I think that's a terrific point, because really, when you talk about the players they could have put in, the two most well-known are Reese and Clark. But John, you know this, well-known and hobby value are two totally different things.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It's a great point that Lauren just made. And I've thought about, I've got a lot of thoughts on this product, but I didn't even think of that angle. Here you got Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, who, listen, there's no love lost between these two athletes. They whether it's a war of words or stuff that happens on the court, I don't think they're, they might respect each other as competitors. I don't think they're big fans of each other overall. And then, like Lauren said, Panini kind of pairs them off in this product where you're either going to get one or the other. Obviously, if you pull a Caitlin Clark auto, you have a better chance at recouping the money you have into the break or the box. If you bought the box outright, the Reese auto, less of a chance of that. So you're already diminishing, regardless of what you think of Angel Reese as a player, you're already putting her behind the 8 ball in this product as well. Not that she might not care, but you know what? Stuff they hear about this stuff too. And so I'd be curious if this does get its way back to Angel Reese, if she even weighs in on it or says something about it. I don't expect that. But one of the problems I have is, you can start a Dutch auction at whatever price you want, but $30K is pretentious. And we don't even know print runs. Like, how many boxes did they make? They won't tell you. I think that number's high, because you, like Lauren said, you got Immaculate, National Treasures, Flawless. I think Noor is in this. They're not making those as standalone products, so they're just doing this. So think about the money they would have wanted to make from those products on their own, and now doing it this way, like a Chronicles release.
Chronicles, yeah.
To me, this screams of there's a lot more of this than we think. Whatever that number is. And $3K, yeah, can you hit a Caitlin Clark auto? I'm sure there's a 1-on-1. I'm sure there's a chase card that would, obviously you'd win there. But like Lauren said, you have to hit a Caitlin Clark auto, most likely, or a Downtown or Kaboom,
right?
Which is the second card. And with the Downtown and Kabooms, it's not just Reese or Clark. It could be any of the other WNBA players. So the auto is what's going to drive the product. And if you get one over the other, you're going to be in better shape, most likely, unless you're saved by the Kaboom or the Downtown.
I would say one of the great plays, if you want to go after this product and you're looking to make some money on it, stay away from Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. I love this comment. There are a lot of players that are not Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. And if Collier wins MVP, how cheap can you buy the card for now? And let's just say it will be more. It doesn't matter what the numbers are. It will be lower, and then it will be higher. I mean, that's just the way it could go. Love Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese is from Baltimore. Her brother played for the Terps. I have total respect for both of them, but they're different players.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish, I saw the Magic Bird type, comparisons. I get where that's I don't want to say low hanging fruit, but I get where people go to that.
Yeah, it's an easy correlation to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what it is.
Right.
I don't know that their styles of play are anything alike. Where Magic and Bird had so many similar skills and whatever. But that being said, this product could have really jump started. I think Panini opening up a whole line for this year. And one of the questions that I thought was fantastic, and I hadn't even thought of, and if you guys know the answer, is there a dual auto with both of them?
I'm not sure. I saw that comment, and I'm not sure. That's a really good question. I don't think so, but I don't know for sure.
John, would that be the coolest card easily?
Well, here's what I'll say. Like Lauren, I don't know to say. Yeah, there is one. I know about it. Here's what. But if you're Panini and you're releasing this product, and you have Angel Reese autos and Caitlin Clark autos, but you don't have a dual auto, someone needs to be fired. I'm not a guy that likes to necessarily fire people, but you have a product which has both of these athletes' autos in it, and you don't make a dual auto. Like, who dropped the ball there? Like, that's so easy to when you already have those two athletes signing anyway. Just put them on the same card. I don't know. Obviously I like an on-card auto better than a sticker auto, but sticker autos don't bother me as much as they probably bother others. Even if that was a sticker auto, dual auto card, it's still a dual auto card. It's still a dual. Like, if that's the only way you could get it done, maybe there is one, and Angel Reese wrote something on there like at
like I mean,
Clark.
I have the Bowman College one, which
So
I'm very proud of, but to see them as professionals on a duel, yeah. And I agree with John. Like, I'm okay. Like, those are sticker autos. I'm okay with sticker autos, but in this product that's supposed to be, you're gonna start it at $30,000. They're not player affiliated patches, player game, whatever affiliated patches. The chances are not there, like the value is not matched because Caitlin Clark's way up here and everybody else is simmering down here, which I do agree. If you are a Nafisa Collier fan or Brianna Stewart or anybody else on any other team, then it's people who don't really value those cards, so you just want to get rid of them and make it a wash of whatever they lost. So for people who are fans of other players, picking them up on eBay, that's good. It's not, I don't think, great for the overall ecosystem of collecting WNBA cards, but that seems to be one of the few pros, is that if you are not an avid Caitlin Clark collector or investor or whatever, then you can kind of pick up the leftovers at hopefully a decent price. So
the leftovers, just an Asia Wilson.
I know it's so gross to say, but
how crazy is this? It's being presented as such a premium high-end product, and like we talked about, you got jersey swatches that are not tied to being game used. Like that's crazy. I almost think they shouldn't have put the game use. Don't even make game use. Yeah. Don't make just no non-game use cards. Don't even do. I think it's more insult to put those cards in here than if they didn't and say, hey, we just didn't have access to game use jerseys of some of these players or enough of them. So you get what you get. But by putting in, like Lauren says, the stuff you can go to Dick's Sporting Goods and pull it off the rack and cut it up. To me, that's more inside. I don't want that card. Most people don't want that card now. I think the tide has turned. I don't even say turned, but I think a lot of people who even it didn't bother early on are like, no, I don't need that in my collection.
I don't think people were aware of it for a long time. I don't think people
and I think it's like a buzz. It's like it starts becoming a hot topic, and people have to sort of fall on one side or the other. I think everyone started to fall on like either make a game used jersey card or don't. But don't do the hey, we just got this, off the rack, and it is a jersey that would have their that player's name on the back, but they never wore it. You know what I mean? That's I don't see especially in a product like this. If you want to put it in a lower level product and it is what it is, and someone pulls that and they don't like it, they can just sell it or give it to somebody. But you're paying at minimum a $3,000 for a box. I don't want like a shelf worn jersey card, off the rack, if you will.
And that was the question that Phil had. How do you feel about player worn but not game used?
I will say this: I like that better than the alternative. Right? They did. The old joke was
just
you see a player and they pull off like 8
I
jerseys.
like that illusion of like of specialness. I like that. The pictures where they like can't put their arms down because they just have like 30 jerseys on. I know it's ridiculous, but if you say player worn and that's all it is, I don't know. But if it's not affiliated,
that's better.
With that
I will say that it's better than not player worn. Yeah, how much better? We could do a whole show probably
right.
on that alone. But yeah, it's and Lauren made another great point. What this is going, if you're a WNBA collector, if you are a specific player collector of a WNBA player, this is going to be great on the secondary market for you, because you're going to see a lot of these singles on whatever eBay, Sport Lots, other selling platforms, and I think you're going to be able to pick up some nice deals if you collect those other players. Let's be real. Caitlin Clark's stuff, you're not going to pick that up cheap. That is what it is. And you already know that if you collect Caitlin Clark. That's not breaking news. But if you collect some of these other players, I think you're gonna like this product. Not if you're buying it at $3,000, but you're gonna like this product if you're going after it's open and buying those cards that make their way onto secondary market platforms, because I think you're going to get some deals there.
To me, this is the ultimate buy the card, not the box.
Yep.
Some products are just like that. Bowman First to me is one. As much as I'd like to take a chance on any prospect I get, I'd rather go buy the prospect I want. And to me, this is a similar situation. Any final words before we move on from rookie royalty?
I'm good. I've said my piece.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out once it gets in the breaking outfits. Like if you hear a breaker, the front man say, hey, we got 80 boxes of this, we're going to be breaking tonight, buy in. That's going to tell you a lot, because the limit on Panini's site was 10 boxes. Now, a lot of these breaking outfits have obviously multiple accounts, multiple people work there. But if you start hearing a lot of like, we got 80 boxes to break, you know that there's a lot of this product, which is where I believe there's a lot made. More. That's why they're not announcing it. If it was limited, they'd say, hey, we only made 2,000 boxes. We only made 10,000 boxes. They're not giving you any numbers, which tells me that number's really high.
Or they're still printing.
That too.
All right.
Well, there's a rumor too, Danny. Real quick, just finish with this. There's even a rumor that low of 3, the bottom of 3. There's a rumor that Panini pulled some back and didn't even sell them all at that price too. So
I know somebody that had it in their shopping cart.
Allegedly.
I know somebody that had it in their shopping cart and then had it pulled out in the middle of the transaction.
Yeah, so then maybe it's true then.
That's Lynx have a great following, new ownership with A-Rod. You know what? I am so for new ownership. I so can't like A-Rod. It is.
That's fair.
I'm not an A-Rod guy either.
Yeah, so. It's like I'm happy for them, but it's A-Rod. Okay, Card shows. I'm going to forget, and guys, please add on to the list because we're in all different parts of the country, and this is a thorough list. But just in the last month or two, Fanatics Fest, National coming up, Chantilly, East Coast National, right, John?
Yeah, you got Burbank show, you got the Dallas
Burbank,
card show,
San Diego Comic-Con, Dallas card show.
you got a bunch of Midwest big shows like really forming and taking hold. So really very few parts of the country don't have a big type show anymore, or have access to it. We're seeing new shows pop up. We're seeing old shows increase the amount of dealer tables. They're finding new venues, bigger venues, including arenas to hold the show in, where maybe before it was at a VFW and now it's at an arena where a sports team plays. And so, it's good and bad. That's a double-edged sword, right? It means the hobby is getting larger, or at least the activity. There's more transactions and more activities. But there's the point of the question, I think, Danny, for when you came up with this, is there is a tipping point, right? It's like scales. Like how many can we get to too many shows? And that's really the question, right? And
I'm sorry.
I've had people on Sports Card Nation where I've asked them their opinion at, right? And the general answer is like the hobbyist will determine that, right? By attending. If attendance starts going down and promoters are like, man, I didn't have enough people pay admission and walk through the door today, and dealers are complaining that, hey, I didn't have a good show. There was half the people here that was the last time I was here. And those half of the attendants, they weren't really spending like typically I see. I think that's the dealers and the attendees are going to determine that. And, when a dealer stops, when a promoter says to the dealer, hey, you're going to be here next month, are you good? And they say, I don't know. I didn't have a great show. I'm going to have to let you know. When that stuff starts happening, that will dictate it more than anything.
I will say the show I was at last weekend had more dealers than the previous one. They are growing, and it's already a huge show in Chantilly. So, for whatever that's worth, they've got some new management, some fresh people keeping an eye on it over there as part of the merger of some different companies. It was interesting. They are definitely squeezing more tables into the same space. So for whatever that's worth. What's going on, Rex? Sports Card Shop, both locations. We appreciate that as always. Rex is a friend of the show. This is part of the issue. Lauren, there's only so much inventory people can have.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you're a local card shop, if you're somebody like John, where he's got his own collection, but it's not, it's not bottomless. And you have to refresh every so often.
Mm-hmm.
Do all these shows just, are dealers just like buying from each other to keep it up? I mean, are you seeing the same dealers, the same shows over and over with the same stuff? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, because we set up at a lot of these shows. We're skipping Dallas this weekend, which we usually do skip the July 4th because of how many shows there are in the summer. And, and that's not a derogatory thing. That's just for us. We have to set a personal limit because we get worn down. And you have to, it's not just showing up. You have to have an inventory. You have to, price it. You have to engage with people. And I'm not saying that as a negative thing. I'm just saying that like when you set up as a vendor, it's work and you kind of forget that. Like Fanatics Fest, we were very excited for Fanatics Fest and we went and it was awesome, but we were exhausted after. And it's because, we were on our feet, we were talking to people, we were running around, we had to lug our stuff in and out. We had, it's a lot. And in the New York heat, it's like it's
I'm laughing at that comment. I'm not laughing at you, Lauren.
They usually have a breaker logo on their shirts, and that's how you identify. But yeah, it's I'm never one to be like, oh, there's too many shows. I think you just have to set your personal limit. Like we were set up with some guys and they live in New York and they were at Fanatics Fest and they were like, okay, we're not even done at Fanatics Fest and they're gearing up for Chantilly. And and then like it's just kind of a domino effect after that. And everybody does still have to consider the national. That the national is a big indicator of like how the month prior is going to go, because sometimes people they want to wait. They want to wait until after the national, or until after all these shows before going to national, before doing something, because they want to see, well, I might find something else there at a better price or whatever. So it's kind of hard to decide from the vendor side of things, like where to go. I think as a collector, it's probably hard to zip around, the country to all these shows. But if you can and you want to, and it makes your collection better, I think it's probably a good thing that you have so many options, because vendors can't go to every show. That's the thing. If there's 2 in one weekend,
who says? Who says?
Well, in this household, but
the only show they can't go to, is one that's on the same day of a show they're at, and even then, if they had the inventory, they could have maybe an employee. Yeah. That's what I see, Danny. Is when you see these people do content where their deals at the show, they're at like every show at a different show every weekend. I'm married. I have a kid, but he's an adult now. But some of these guys, I don't know their family situation. I wouldn't be able to do that if I wanted to. Now, I don't want to as a dealer. But even if I did, I don't even think, I mean, just the grind, like Lauren pointed out, all the stuff you have to do. It's not like you just show up at the show for 2 days and collect money and go home and then do it next weekend. There's stuff that, if your dealers know this, there's stuff you're doing all through the week to get ready for that weekend show, whether that's buying a collection, repricing stuff, selling stuff. You're most likely, if you're a dealer at a weekend show, you're selling stuff during the week on other platforms. So you're shipping. So, I couldn't do a show. I do about 18 to 20 shows a year, maybe even a little less, maybe more around the 14 to 16.
Just because I know you, can you talk about the different size shows you do?
Yeah, I mean, here in Syracuse, I do what's called the Fairground Show. Collectors Fest is actually what it's called. And these are generally, there's 2 versions of it. There's the Fairgrounds itself. There's going to be 110 tables there. And then there's the hotel version of that. And there's going to be 50 to 60 tables, so about half the size. And then I do a monthly show in Watertown, New York, which is about an hour north of Syracuse. It's Fort Drum is a military base. It's a military town. And that's a smaller show, 40 to 50 tables. And, occasionally I'll do a one-off show somewhere. I did Springfield, Massachusetts last year. But generally, Watertown and Syracuse is where I stay now. When I was a younger dealer, I'd go to Ohio, Pennsylvania. I do a little more traveling, but I don't know. Travel, like, as much as I like to travel, I like having weekends where I don't have anything necessarily to do. I can go on my deck with a beverage and a cigar, and or sit in my hot tub and just have nothing, just a clear itinerary. I don't want to be like. Your weekends are always accounted for when you're doing all these shows. You have no weekends. You're in a building all day. I want to be outside, and I'm only speaking for me, maybe certain other people, but and I love a show. I'm not besmirching shows or shows stink, but there's a limit to how often I want to be in the building every weekend. For me, I like to, the older you get, the less time you have left in that hourglass. And I just don't want to be in a building every weekend. I really don't. Money aside, even, I like making money as a dealer at shows. I'm not going to apologize for that. But I just don't want to be in the building Friday, Saturday, and Sunday every week. It's just that's a grind. And then I think if I did that, Lauren and Danny, I would definitely. I don't want to say dislike the hobby, but my enjoyment and passion for the hobby would wane to where it is the way I do things now.
Well, and you guys are up north too, so like, for a good portion of the year, you can't go outside.
That's right. So when we get,
so like,
thank you, Lauren.
I get it. Like, I understand. Take it in while you can, and this is the best time to do that. So you have to find that balance.
Yeah, we got to transition away from John in the hot tub to John inside in the winter. That's definitely
well. Phil follows me on Facebook, so he knows I've been like a Blackstone master since I got it a couple weeks ago. So, itchy bon at home, as I like to say. So,
I have a question for both of you since you both set up. What day do you set up? The first on a bigger show? Do you need to come in the day before? Can you set up the morning of? How does your process? How well organized and the tricks of the trade that you learn over time? How quickly can you pack up and unpack? Lauren?
Well, I hate to like make this a long-winded answer because it shouldn't be complicated, but we have a camper, so sometimes we drive. A lot of times for Dallas, we drive. And we've learned that getting there on Wednesday when nothing is happening yet and just getting in the hotel, getting settled, doing some last minute prep stuff, that helps a lot. And also if there's, inclement weather or whatever, then, we can account for that. We have a buffer because there have also been times where if we flew to a show, then we are, either leaving straight from or going straight to the show. And then you're kind of discombobulated. And Brian's not a great flyer. So like the stress of that and then like being late and all that stuff that accumulates. So we like to, take that extra, but again, that's another day that we're not at home or, that we're traveling or whatever. So we kind of have to account for that. And, because we have done where we like step off the airplane, go straight to the show and set up. And like we can do it. It's possible, but it's not always the best. We aren't always our best, when we're interacting with people, if that's the case, because our minds are like, all over the place. So, you just kind of find different ways to get into it. It's also not to deviate too far, but when we do like it, like John said, we do make money off of it. And that is also, a perk, but, we enjoy it. We like doing like, it's work that we like doing that we feel good about. And it can be overwhelming sometimes. And, there's a lot of information constantly coming at you. And, so like, I'm not trying to be like, woe is me, but you have to remember that just because you love it doesn't mean you're not putting effort into it and that it can take a lot out of you. So.
Yeah. And John, I know you because you're very type A.
Yeah. Well, look, for me, I do a lot less traveling than Lauren and Brian. So I have it a little bit easier. Like the Syracuse, the fairground show, it's literally 4.5 miles from my house.
Awesome.
One time the show's on Sunday. So I want to hear crazy. I'll make this quick. Crazy story. I go to it's on Sunday. There is pre-set up on Saturday, which I take advantage of. So I'll go Saturday and kind of put all my showcases out, my stand-up cases, no cards. I don't leave them there overnight, even though the building gets locked up. I'm just not going to leave that to chance. But I call it the bones of my setup. I'll set that up on Saturday, and then I'll come Sunday morning and put all the cards in the cases and that sort of thing. Well, one Sunday, I still get there early. I like to get there early so I don't feel like, man, they're about to open the doors and I'm still putting cards out. I don't like that sort of pressure. So I'll get there early so I can be done. Well, that's a good thing in this case because one day I have one box that houses most of my graded card inventory. And when I got there, you know that feeling like, man, I'm missing something, like something's not right. Well, I had left that box on my kitchen table and I'm like debating, do I go home and get it? or try to do the show without that. Well, that's a heavy part of my inventory. So I'm like, I'm running home. 20 minutes. I even told my dealer friend that I set up with, hey, watch my stuff. I forgot a box. I got to go back home and get it. The show wasn't open yet, but just, dealers are walking around. Just keep an eye on what is here. And I said, time me. And from when I left to when I got back, 20 minutes, which is probably a new record, and I won't be able to break. So Watertown's an hour. There's no pre-setup. I go on. That's a Saturday show, the Watertown. So I like a Saturday show more than a Sunday show. I think Saturday shows are better attended. Sunday, people are getting ready to go back to work. It's sort of a de facto family day for a lot of folks. And when I do a Saturday show, if everything is the same, and there's been a couple fairground show that he had to schedule on a Saturday for whatever reason, Saturday shows generally to me are with all things being equal, we'll have more attendance over a Sunday show.
Mookie says John's land speed record is impressive.
Listen.
That include the Duncan run.
Yeah, I had already got Duncan. So I already had the coffee. I just didn't have the graded card box. I can move for a big guy who's not in the greatest shape in the world. And listen, I still play softball. I still play pickleball. I'm not saying I like to run. I'm not claiming you're not going to see me enter any half marathons or even a 5K. But I can run like if need be and I have no choice, I can do it.
If the zombies are coming, John is gone.
I'm good for 10. I'm good for 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna have to stop and try to fight them off or get eaten. Most likely get eaten.
Yeah. By the way, if anybody ever sees me running, come help. It's not voluntary.
Same. Yeah.
All right. We can't. Time is flying today. MLB All-Star games coming up. Baseball. For whatever reason, baseball is not the number one sport in the country, but it is the number one sport in the hobby. All-stars, first-time players, veterans, all over the place. Guys like Javi Baez and Gleyber Torres coming back to life out of nowhere. Anything catch your attention, guys? Any players that you were glad to see or disappointed? Card-wise, otherwise?
I'm leaving this to John.
Well, you got the Athletics. I guess they're the Sacramento Athletics or just the Athletics. Jacob Wilson's having a great year. Probably not getting a lot of attention because of the team he plays on. So I look at a guy like that. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a perennial 10-time All-Star, but he's having an All-Star year and is deservingly getting, his just due with an All-Star appearance. I like to see that. You might not see, I don't know how many times you'll see it again. Javi Baez, that guy was left for dead and deservedly so when you look at his numbers. He was under the Mendoza line. Like, I don't know what happened this year. When we look at Javi, I'm not going out and scarfing up a bunch of Javi Baez cards. I don't believe he's like back, but he's having a good year and he's being rewarded with an All-Star appearance. That's what the All-Star game for many years, and I get it. For many years, it became sort of a popularity contest, right? Where they would put guys, hey, this is his last year. He's not having an All-Star year, but he's announced like this is his last year. He's retiring. He's in the All-Star game, and I get that. I don't hate that, but to me, like as a kid that played baseball all growing up through high school, playing softball still, Little League, we had an All-Star game, right? And the best kids from each team were selected. I want to see, production rewarded rather than career, award. So when you see a Jacob Wilson, or listen, even Javi Baez, who I think, is just catching lightning in a bottle this year, but he deserves an appearance. If you look at his last 5 years, you'd say, what the heck happened? Why is he there this year? Because he earned it this year, not the previous 5. So I like those stories. And then you got your obvious guys that are going to be all-stars every year, barring injury, right? Your Shoheis and that sort of thing. So, and then people want to see those. Those are people who pay money to see those type of guys play.
That Aaron Judge guy in New York, I hear, is pretty good. Lauren, does an all-star game, a championship, anything like that in any sport affect for you prices or values of cards?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I am notoriously not good at baseball, no matter how, like, I can't get into it. I hate admitting that, especially to baseball guys, because I know you could convert me, and I want to be converted, but I'm just like not there. You know, I like with Shohei last year.
That was good timing. He said not there, and she wasn't there.
I took you out for a half second just for saying that.
Well, that's that's fair. Honestly, should I weigh in? Nobody wants to hear from me on this, but I, like last year, with the World Series, I thought, which my limited knowledge, all of the Los Angeles Dodgers players, like Shohei, like all the boats rose together. And as like a family bloodline Yankees fan, they whooped them, and it was embarrassing for the Yankees. So I, as an outsider of baseball, in my head, it makes sense that like these things, that will draw your attention. I'm not watching regular season games. I'm just not. I don't have a team, and it doesn't like totally interest me. But will I watch the World Series? Yeah. Will I maybe tune in to, the special events of the All-Star game? Yeah, I might, because like the stars are there, and that like, it's a big deal. That's how it is for every sport. And so yeah, like to me, I think and also with cards, if they, newer cards, if they play it right, I know Topps Now cards are kind of like meh, sometimes they're a little bit of a cheap, gimmick thing, but sometimes they like highlight a really cool moment. And like if there's a really cool moment at the All-Star game, and I know somebody said in the comments like the home run derby jerseys are cool, like, if there's a really cool moment and they're in these uniforms that are like unique, then I think that's cool. But I'm not, I'm an outsider looking in, so I would be the chump who'd be like, yeah, I think that's totally like, worth whatever.
But I do think that there's truth to that, John. I mean, we talk about this, whether it's quarterbacks in football that need a Super Bowl, to kind of cap off their value, or an NBA player who's needs to make an all NBA team at some point just to kind of justify them. I mean, for you, when you look at a player's resume, how much is just the pure stats and how much are the awards?
Go to Cooperstown and read the plaques on the wall, right? What's it say on that, right? So and so had 9 All-Star appearances, and was third all time in RBIs, or whatever the stats are. They're important enough to put on a Cooperstown plaque. That's why I don't want to see just people kind of like giving one because it's their last year. Like Jeter, Ripken, sorry, Danny, but
he deserved every
and others. They're not the only two. Maybe they're two bigger names that are easy to remember off the top of your head. I'm glad Jacob Wilson got in. He's having an incredible year. Cal Raleigh, is tearing the cover off the ball in Seattle. He's someone mentioned in the comments, right? There's a lot of young players on the come up in baseball, the Bobby Witt Juniors and the like, right? This is baseball's chance on national primetime TV to say, hey, we got some superstars, young ones. Like this league's going to be in good shape for the long haul. It's not just veterans. We got some young guys, young guns coming up through the ranks as well. And like Lauren pointed out, the events surrounding the game itself, right? Very few people don't watch the home run derby, and they've changed some of the rules to maybe make it a little bit shorter. So, people's attention spans are only good for so long. So they've tried to make it, plus these guys are getting tired out. taking 50 swings in one session. So against the clock, no less. So, but the home run derby is fun to watch, right? We watched this, in its heyday, we watched the slam dunk competition during the NBA All-Star weekend. No one ever watched the football Pro Bowl. That was inflated numbers. So, but even they've come up with like now a flag game, and now they're doing like events and competition.
Making the NFL Pro Bowl is not anything like making an NBA All-Star team or an MLB All-Star team. I mean, it's just everybody makes the NFL Pro Bowl. I mean, John, you finished second.
Yeah, I almost went.
Right. Let me ask you guys a question. And I'm a suffering Washington Wizards fan. 2 years away. And for me, I look at the off season, and there's not much for my team. But I look at all the other rumors, all the other moves, the draft, and then I look at card prices and what could happen. There's not a lot of players. Like, I'm not sure LeBron's adding a lot of value if he moved out of LA. Not that he will, and I'm not sure if he wins another title, if there's a lot of added value more than maybe a short bump. But are there guys out there in the NBA that can like stars that could still see a big impact on their value? And the one that jumped to mind to me is Giannis. I think Giannis could go to almost any other team. It would be a contender, obviously. And I think his value goes up. Lauren, I mean, your thoughts? Cole Anthony, I know there was a trade.
Cole Anthony. I'm still emotionally unwell from that. But yeah, honestly, when we were kind of like, warming up on the topics and you mentioned Giannis, I think that is the best example of a player that really could go anywhere. And unfortunately, the first thing I did think was Washington, because they are just notoriously terrible. And I think even there, I think because of, who he is. And honestly, I'm not like a basketball purist. I kind of am like, you know what? Anybody's got a shot at any time. And I want to see Washington do well. Like, luckily their WNBA team is doing well right now. But yeah, I think with Giannis, I think that's a great example of like, I mean, where couldn't he go that, he wouldn't raise his value and the stock of, the team and everyone around him. So I don't know. It's interesting. There's been a lot of interesting moves. I was very surprised about Miles Turner leaving the Pacers. I thought that was crazy after they just had a finals run and he's been there for so long and there have been so many rumors about him leaving. And I don't, that's going to be curious. I mean, Miles Turner isn't like, a big hobby guy, but I will be interested to see how that plays out. Now that he's had a finals run, but now he's switching to another team, and the Bucks are kind of a weird organization. They make a lot of weird moves, and I don't fully understand them sometimes. So yeah, I mean, and if Giannis stays, I don't think anything will really happen. I think he, will probably just flatline. But if he did go somewhere, especially obviously LA, LA, even the Clippers, maybe that might boost him up. I don't know.
Even the Clippers.
Because like
the Clippers
Lakers
will be known as a what franchise forever. Even the Clippers. Want to read a couple comments here real quick. The NBA hates the fact that Milwaukee built a new stadium, did not move to another state, have a superstar in Giannis, and won a championship. Mad City, I'd like to know if you're a Milwaukee fan by any chance. What's up, Brody? What's going on, buddy?
Hey,
Phil says,
Phil's a big Oklahoma City Thunder guy, so congrats to him.
I relate to OKC a lot. Congratulations, Phil.
Joker would make any team a contender.
Let's talk about that, right? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now he's got a ring. Very, young player, superstar. He was already a superstar, regardless of the outcome of that NBA Finals. But when you win a championship, right, we hold those players in different regard. That's why we talk about Dan Marino is a great quarterback, but he probably would have been talked about even more had he won a Super Bowl. He made one and lost it in his rookie year, never got back. Had Dan Marino won one or two rings, we would have talked about him in a different regard. He's no less a player without the ring. So going back to basketball, now that SGA has a ring and maybe going to add more, that team looks like, barring a bunch of guys taking bigger money contracts and leaving the team, that team's probably the favorite to repeat, at least on paper, next year. Let's say he gets 2 or 3 rings before his career's over. He's that'll move him up that all-time players list that everyone likes to debate on and that sort of thing. LeBron is in the back nine, the real back nine.
He's on the back too.
Yeah, he's coming into the clubhouse, and we'll have to sign a scorecard here shortly. I don't think it's beyond the realm of the imagination that he demands a trade. He opted into his contract without taking a pay cut, $52 million. And
yeah, but he's got a lot of rings coming up, like you said. SGA is going to take the rings, and $50 million is not bad money.
Yeah, and I'm not a LeBron guy, truth be told, so I'm probably not the right guy to comment on him all the time. But there's a lot of guys. There's probably 5 or 6 guys, right? If they go to another team, will instantly make that team viable and a shot to do damage in the postseason. We just talked about 3 or 4 of those type guys. So. I'm truth be told, like Lauren is to baseball. I'm probably like that to the NBA, but I do follow it. I don't want to make it like I do follow it. So,
well, speaking of the back nine, time flies when you're having fun. If you guys are familiar with the artist Greg Kreindler, he's tremendously talented, and evidently John Newman has morphed into him and looks just like him now.
He'll be at the National.
Yeah, and
I'm gonna have to track. We're gonna have to twin. We're gonna. I got a few more. Anyway. Yeah. I was about to say, in defense of Greg, I have a few more LBs than he does. We're not like, like you said, from the neck up, we have some similarities, and we're both from Brooklyn, so maybe it's a Brooklyn thing. I don't know. Craig's a great guy, obviously an uber talented artist. He just. Him and Paul Esco actually just won a couple legal battles where people were stealing Greg's work and using it, when they shouldn't be, and that got kibosh. So that's a good thing. But yeah, I'm gonna have to track Craig down, and we'll take a picture and we'll let the public decide. Again, not based on LBs, but just maybe the glasses and the hair.
It'll remind me of that movie Twins with Schwarzenegger and DeVito.
I don't know if it's that bad. I don't know if it's that big of a and listen. If using that analogy, I know I'm DeVito. Like I'm not. You didn't say it, but But I don't think it's that big of a difference. But it's funny. It's fun. Listen, I can laugh at myself. You
guys are the best. All right, let's wrap it up here. John, would you mind going over the Hobby Palooza and the schedule one more time?
Yeah. And then one other thing I want to throw in there. I'll make this quick. Hobby Palooza, which will be the 3rd week of July, which would be our normal show. But we won't be on this channel or Hobby Hotline. We'll be on the 4 Collectors Network. They've taken, it used to be on Bench Clear, but they've kind of spearheaded it now. So we'll be on the Hobby Palooza Saturday, July 19th, 11 a.m. Eastern. So everything's the same. It's just we'll be on the 4 Collectors Network supporting the Hobby Palooza 3-day event, live streaming. Great shows, great content creators, collectors, artists. If it's in the hobby, it's going to be on that event. And we're blessed to have been on it. I know since its existence. So I don't know, it's 4 or 5 years now. And they've always tried to keep us either in our time slot or pretty close to it. And that's nice of them to do this. And in this case, we're literally in the same time slot, just a different network. They actually will be engineering the show. So we don't even have to worry about the stuff Danny's doing right now. And we'll have more than 3 people on the screen. So we can't promise anyone's safety. Watch at your own risk. And the other thing I want to announce, I can't give the official date and time yet. I unofficially kind of know, but I'll wait till that gets locked in. Another great event, you might have heard of it. It's called the National. It's in Chicago this year. And we've been, Hobby Hotline and Sports Card Nation, for that matter, have been blessed to have some stage time. And Hobby Hotline, once again, and Sports Card Nation, we each have an hour. I believe that both shows will actually go on back to back. But Hobby Hotline will be on the main stage at the National, probably within the first 2 days of the show. And we'll see out of our group who can make it at that time. And again, we'll have enough mics and enough chairs. And if you've seen this show before when we've done it at the National, we always try to be interactive with the crowd that's right in front of us, and it's a privilege and an honor to be able to do that. No matter how many times it happens, I know I speak for Danny, who's been up there numerous times. No matter how many times you do it, it's still a cool moment. It's still fun, and I always just get a kick out of it, and I never take that for granted, no matter how many times it does happen. So if you're going to the National, look for us there. August will be the second for Saturday and the fourth Saturday because of the National. We just will move it to that way.
Yep. Lauren, what are your?
That's a good question.
Plans? Yes. Any hobby plans this weekend?
I need to write an article because it's been a while. So that's my plan, honestly, is to get back in the game.
You're skipping Dallas. You're skipping the Dallas card show. Enjoy yourself. Get some time with the family. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's good. It's always a good weekend to, think about cards. And we had family here and they are gone. So it's quiet and I have my laptop back. And yeah, I'm going to do whatever. Probably take a nap.
Real quick to answer Abel's question. I'm going to say I don't want nothing set in stone, no or yes. I'm going to venture probably with doing the onstage stuff, Danny, probably no. But if enough of us say, hey, let's do something in the media room and has the equipment, like I'm flying, so I can't bring everything I would if I was going to Cleveland or Atlantic City. But if the opportunity presents itself, I'd say possibly. But I think the main stage performance will kind of, subset that or sublease that. And we get the audio and video from that, and we'll release it, obviously, eventually on Hobby Hotline channel. So I'm going to say probably not. It's also the day of our Hobby Hotline dinner that's become an annual event. So I would, gun to head, so to speak, I'd say the main stage will probably be that, which is live streamed. You can catch that on the National live stream. So if you're not at the event and you want to see all our ugly mugs, and I will obviously announce what day and time that would be, it's available that week. So that will be, the National show, if you will.
On that note, that is the end of episode 348. See us in 2 weeks, right, John?
2 weeks, Hobby Palooza, 4 Collectors Network, same time and date.
All right. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, John. To everybody else, have a great hobby weekend. I really